Hi everyone, it's Hannah from Hand Jam Crochet, and today we are making this beautiful crochet lace cardigan together. It's a lovely thing that you can add sleeves to or leave it sleeveless, so it's great as a summer cover up or as a lacy weight long sleeved cardigan, whichever you prefer. Now I used fingering weight comfy yarn for this design, and I've got the colour Peony here, and we get 218 yards in 50 grams, and it has 75% Pima cotton and 25% acrylic. It's a beautiful yarn to work with. You'll also need a 3.5mm crochet hook, or the hook size that meets the gauge for you, a needle for your ends, a pair of scissors and some stitch markers. I've linked all the materials in the description below, along with where you can find the Britain pattern for this. Now it comes in sizes extra small to 5XL in adult sizes, and you can find it on my blog or as a PDF in my pattern stores. Now to begin our cardigan, we are going to work a lace panel that goes up the back of it, and I've done that really intentionally because then we can use that to measure our gauge. So you begin with that center strip, and then what we do is we work into the sides of that and extend for both of the front panels. Then when both of those front panels are completed, you can add sleeves or not add sleeves, entirely up to you. And then we just work 2 seams under the arm and down the side to complete. Now the lace stitch that I use for this cardigan is really tricky to see in this fingering weight yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to size up, and I'm going to use this worsted weight version of it. It's the same brand of yarn, it's the same comfy yarn, but just slightly thicker, so it will make it easier for you to see the stitches that I'm doing. So let's get going. To crochet the centre back panel of the cardigan, we are going to do the same amount for every single size in the pattern, and it's when we go out at the sides that we change the width of our garment. So in that centre section, we are going to begin with a foundation chain of 32, but I'm working with a larger yarn and a larger hook. I've gone up to a 4.5mm hook, which is not what you need to do because you're using your fingering weight yarn. And what I'm going to do is just show you a couple of repeats. So the stitch multiple for this pattern is 6 plus 2. So I'm going to chain 14, but you are going to chain 32, and it will work in exactly the same way. So we begin by putting a slip knot on the hook, and then you are going to chain out the amount that you need. Now that we have our foundation chain, we are going to work back along here, and we're going to work what I've called the forward lace wedge stitch, because we have to have sets of 2 rows here to make this lace wedge work. And what that means will become really clear in a minute, she says, she hopes. So we begin by working in the second chain from the hook, so this one here, and we're going to put a single crochet into there. Now we need to chain 6. And what we're going to now do is work back into that chain 6 and create the first side of one of our wedge stitches. So in the second chain from the hook, we're going to work a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next chain, and then into the next one we will work a double crochet. So yarn over, pop it in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we chain 1, and then we skip the next stitch, which is a chain here, and then into this last chain before we get to that single crochet that we just made. In this last chain we're going to do a really tall stitch. We're going to do a double treble stitch, which means we go 1, 2, 3 yarn overs, and then into that last chain there, yarn over and pull through, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So that makes that lovely long elegant stitch there for us. Then what we need to do is go back to our foundation chain, and we're going to skip 5. So we've worked into this one here, and then we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then into the next chain we're going to work a single crochet. So this one here gets a single crochet. And then what we'll do is repeat that process that we just did here. So we're going to chain 6, and then working back down into those 6 chains, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip the next chain and then work a double crochet into the next one. We chain 1 and then we do that long double treble stitch into the last chain. So we skip 1 and then work into that last chain there. And then we skip the next 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 from our foundation chain, and then we have 1 chain left, and into that chain we are going to work a single crochet. Now obviously yours will be longer than this, and so what you'll carry on doing is just repeating that until you run out of chains, and that will create the width that we need. Then once you get to the end of that row, we're going to turn and we are going to chain 5 to begin. And then we need to join to the top of this. We're going to work into that single crochet that we have here, that we worked at the very beginning of that chain 6. So that gets a single crochet into it. And then we need to work back along this chain here. So we have 5 stitches to look at here. We have where we have the single crochet, a chain 1, where we have the double crochet, a chain 1, and then where we have the double treble here. And what we're going to do is just mirror that exactly. So we work a single crochet into that first one, we chain 1 and we skip the next one. We work a double crochet into the same place where the double crochet is. We chain 1, we skip 1, and then we work that long double treble stitch into the same place that the other double treble is. So it literally is a mirror of what you have just done. And that is what that should look like. And then we skip all of these and go straight to that single crochet from the next set of the wedge stitch. And that single crochet gets a single crochet. And then working back down this side, we are exactly the same. So it's of note then that we repeat this all the way across, and it's only this last one that is slightly different that I'll show you now. We're going to work as we have there before. We're going to single crochet into this first one here, chain 1, skip the next, double crochet into where the double crochet is, chain 1, and then it's just here at the very end we have where we have the double treble stitch and then where we have that single crochet there at the end. What we're going to do is work a double treble stitch 2 together over those 2 stitches. That sounds like a right mouthful, but this is what that looks like. We yarn over 3 times and then we go into where that double treble is. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, until you're at the end of that stitch. You're just about to yarn over and complete the stitch, but instead of doing that, we are going to yarn over 3 times and begin another double treble stitch in that last stitch there, in that last single crochet. So we go into there, yarn over, and then we repeat the process. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and once you've got 3 loops left on the hook, we are going to yarn over and pull through everything. And that is the 2 rows of the repeat done. So that now becomes a lace wedge stitch, this square here. Then continuing from that, we are going to work rows 3 and rows 4 that will then be the repeat for the whole thing, because obviously here at the beginning we worked into the foundation chain, but now we don't need to. We are just going to chain 1 and we're going to single crochet here in that first stitch. Then we're going to chain 6. Then working in the second chain from the hook, we single crochet, we chain 1, we skip the next chain and then double crochet in the next chain. We chain 1 and then we work our long double treble into that last chain there. And then here, of course, we're now not working into the foundation chain, we are looking at stitches. So we're going to skip 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then we're going to single crochet into this next one, which is actually the long double treble stitch of the row before. So we single crochet into there, then we chain 6 again, then we single crochet into the second chain again, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip 1, and then our long double treble stitch into that last chain. And then I've already arrived at the end, but obviously you won't have done. But you're going to then, in your last repeat of it, do a single crochet into the last stitch of the row, which is actually a chain, the last chain of this repeat here, and the chain 5 that we made. And so that's row 3 complete. Now we turn, we chain 5, and then we're going to look for that single crochet that we have at the top of this wedge here, and we work a single crochet into that, and then we work back along here as we did on the repeat on row 2. We're going to work a single crochet in that first one, chain 1, skip 1, a double crochet level with this double crochet we have here, chain 1, skip 1, and then a double treble into that last stitch there where the double treble is from the row below. Then we find the single crochet of the next wedge and we work into that, then a single crochet into this first chain there, or the back of the chain 1, skip 1, then double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and then we start our double treble crochet 2 together. Gosh, that's hard to say. So we start a long stitch, then we don't finish it, and then we start another one into the very last stitch of the row. And once we have 3 loops on the hook, you yarn over and you pull through. And that is all there is to it. We repeat rows 3 and 4 for as many times as the pattern tells us to. So if you go ahead and work as many repeats as the pattern tells you to, or as many repeats as the length you would like it to be, and then meet me back here and I will show you what we do next. Now that I've got my centre back panel to the length that I would like it to be, I'm ready to extend for the front. Now the great thing about this pattern is, as I say, we can make this section as long or as short as we like and then just match the front to it. But in order to do that, we need to do a few calculations. There are some standard ones within the written pattern. So if you want to make it X, Y or Z length, then I will tell you exactly how many rows you need to make. But I'm also going to go through with you how to change that and adjust that for however many you've decided to do. So each of these wedge stitches take 2 rows each. So I've done 48 rows and that gives me 24 wedge stitches here. So 24 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc, etc. And each of those has got 6 stitches in them. So we know that 24 times 6 is 144. So that's how many stitches we have along this line here. So the front also needs to have 144 stitches, but we're also going to add 2 of them for your neckline, so to sit and go comfortably over your shoulder. So the calculation, as you'll see in the pattern, is 6 times however many wedge stitches you have, so in this case 24, plus 14. So that's the magic number you need to add once you've done your wedge stitches. So all we do once we have completed this stitch here, this last stitch, is we then chain out the amount that we need for your length that you're making. So I'm going to do 157 chains, because that's how many I've calculated that I will need to match the length of this. So once you've got the amount of chains that you need, we're going to start working back along from the second chain in the hook in the wedge pattern that we already know. So we're going to work a single crochet, then you're going to chain 6, and back into that chain 6 we're going to work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, chain 1, skip the next chain, a double crochet in the next chain, a chain 1, and then a double treble in the last chain. So we skipped 1, and then in the last chain we work that double treble stitch. And then if you remember, we then skip 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then we single crochet into that next stitch there. And you just carry on doing that, working your 6 chains and then working back into them all the way along this chain, all the way along, and that will be the front of your cardigan. And then when you get back to here, you'll be ready to begin to work those into the sides of these instead. So what we'll then do is start working a wedge stitch that goes up here in this direction, and then work along your chain 6, and then rather than skipping 5, you will just skip the whole of this stitch here and then single crochet into the side of that stitch there. So that's all we need to do for this row. Just carry on working all the way along until we get to the end here. So I've done all of those wedge stitches for that long chain, the 157 that we had, and now I've got to where it is the center back panel. So that's this section that we have here. We're going to carry on working down and join to each of those wedges that we already have there. So I'll just show you quickly on this first one. I've done my single crochet, so I'm going to chain 6. Then working back along that in exactly the same way with our single crochet, chain 1, etc, etc, our double crochet there, chain 1, skip 1, and then our double treble. We now need to just, rather than skipping 5, you're going to skip that long chain that we have there at the side, and you're going to single crochet into the side just as we start the next wedge stitch. And you'll repeat that all the way along for the back of the cardigan up until we get to this point here, and then we will turn and we'll fill in the gaps with our reverse lace wedge stitch. Now here I am at the end of that row. I've done all of that first row of wedges into the chains. I've worked all the way along the sides of the rows here up until I've got to the end, and now I'm ready to turn. And I know that you know this because this is the pattern that we began with, but I just wanted to go over again how we then change these shapes and join them in this second row of it. So we're going to chain 5, and then we're going to look for that single crochet there, and we're going to put a single crochet into it, and then working along these 5 stitches here, we are going to be working a single crochet, a chain 1, skip 1, a double crochet, and make sure that lines up with the double crochet from the row before. Then we chain 1, and then we do the double treble into that double treble from the row before. And then we're ready to single crochet into the single crochet of the next wedge stitch. And that will have joined everything for us, and we're ready then to carry on working along here. So single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, and then our long double treble that's what I want to say, into that stitch there. Then we single crochet into the single crochet of the next stitch there. So that will begin to close all of those lace wedge stitches for us, and you work that all the way along, untangle it there, all the way along, close all of those that we've worked here until we get to the end, And then we'll be back into the rows 3 and 4 repeat that we did here in our centre back section. And this is what's going to make the side of the cardigan up until the point where it's either the width that you want and you're going to leave it sleeveless, or it's the width that you want, or the pattern says for your size, before you then add the sleeves. So work this section now to the size that you would like it, or the size, the numbers that it tells you in the pattern. There are different rows, different numbers for each size. And then come back to me and I will show you how we put this sleeve on the side here. Now that we've made this side panel, we are ready to either add a sleeve on or to seam the sides. Now, if you're going for a sleeveless version, I would work both of these side panels, so you then have your long bit sticking out for your front. It basically ends up as a massive U shape, and then you're ready to decide whereabouts you would like, once you folded it over, for it to join, so that you can seam this bottom portion here, or side portion here, and then leave a section that's going to be for your armhole. Now, in the pattern, the written pattern does give you guidance for those numbers, but obviously we're all different shapes and sizes, and also you can drastically change the style of your cardigan by changing where the armhole sits on you. So that bit is entirely up to you, but you can just seam the sides with either a simple loose slip stitch, or sew together on these side seams, because you have got stitches, matching stitches here. So I would do that on the wrong side, so the seam is on the inside of your cardigan. And so if you're making the sleeveless version, block your piece first and then do those side seams. But if you're going to add a sleeve, that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. So in the written pattern, it does give you guidance for how big your sleeves should be for each different size. But the great thing about this now is you can put them wherever you would like them to be. They can be as big or as small as you would like to be. They can be as long as you would like them to be. So essentially what we're going to be doing is, I've got this long bit here sticking up. This is the neckline, the back of the neckline. And I have this great big long strip of fabric here that is the back and then goes to the front. And what we need to do is put a sleeve in the center of this long strip. So however long you've decided to make your cardigan, you need to make sure that you're going to divide this up evenly in order for your sleeve to sit in the center. Now, what I would do, if you're going to change the numbers, or even if you're not, I would start with some stitch markers and decide whether this armhole and sleeve is going to suit you or not. So I'm going to work with the numbers that are in the pattern and that I've got from here. I need to leave 18 of these wedge stitches on both the front and the back, and then that will leave me 14 wedge stitches for my sleeve hole. So if you have some stitch markers, I would count up and then put a stitch marker in to hold it together, then try it on. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then we go here with our stitch marker. And then for the back here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then we put our stitch marker in here. Now that is initially just to make sure that we then have the right number for our armhole here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Perfect. So what we can now do is join those two together, and then you are able to then try that on, because then you'll see you might want to actually put a couple down the side so that you can mock it up for what it's like with the closed side. But essentially you can then adjust where you want this to be. If that armhole feels too tight, then you can move it down. If it feels too loose, then you can move it up. So then you have your portion, but make sure it's a full lace wedge stitch, because otherwise it's very, very difficult to work the pattern. So once you're happy, you have the right number for your armholes, we need to undo these so that we can start working flat on our work. And what we need to do is make sure that we start working having turned the cardigan, so as if we just finished that last row and now we've turned to work back along in the other direction. Because what we're going to be doing is finding that long stitch of that first lace wedge stitch. Everything's falling off the table. Oops. Find that first stitch of this lace wedge, and we're going to put that in there. Let's show you a bit clearer there. So that's the long one, and then we have the two shorter ones here, and that's where we're going to join our yarn to. And we are just going to work the pattern in exactly the same way. So we chain 1 to start, then we single crochet, chain 6, and then we're back down that just the same as we have been with our lace wedge stitch. Then we're going to skip 5 and then single crochet in that next long stitch that we have. And so that's one lace wedge stitch done. And all we're going to be doing is working that up until we get to the end where our stitch marker is, and then you'll put a single crochet in this last one here. So work away on that, then we'll turn, and it should all be familiar by this point, and then we'll know exactly what we need to do for the sleeve. Now I've arrived back at my second stitch marker with a single crochet in that long stitch that it was, I promise, attached to. And I've just checked back and made sure that I've got the right number of wedge stitches now that I want for my sleeve. So for my case, that's 14. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, because we're not going to work for the rest of that row that we have there. And then we're just going to look straight into our second row of our wedge stitch, which is a chain 5, and then we single crochet in that single crochet of that first wedge stitch, and then we start working back along these stitches here, just in the way that we know, with our single crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the double crochet, chain 1, and then the double treble in that double treble, and that just closes our lace wedge stitch for us. And then we're ready to join to the next one, and off we go again. So this carries on all the way to the end of your sleeve, and you're going to do your double treble 2 together across those last two stitches. So it's exactly the same as we've been working, and then all you need to do is carry on working those 2 rows for as long as either the pattern tells you or you would like your sleeve. So the great thing about this now is that you can easily pop those stitch markers in at the side, mock it up and put it on just to see how it fits for you. So go ahead and work your sleeve. Once you have completed your first side, whether you're adding sleeves or not, I think it's a really good exercise to pin it in place before you start the second side, so that you can either try it on to see, but just to also kind of get the idea of the construction in your head. So this is my center panel that we worked at the very beginning, and then all of this side is what I have just worked for the first side of it. But of course it's in a very, very long strange shape that we have just worked, and all I've done is fold it over so that the sleeve where the armhole depth is there matches, and I've clipped that together with a stitch marker, and then I've just placed a couple down the ends and then added one right at the bottom there, which is going to then be the bottom of your cardigan. And then similarly underneath where the sleeve is going to be, if you've chosen to put a sleeve on, I would put a couple of stitch markers there as well. This way you can try it on, see if the sleeve length works for you. I haven't blocked this yet, so I know that this is slightly short of where it's going to actually end up being, but it's a great way to know that yes, this is going to work, and I want to definitely keep my sleeves as they are, or then you can have the option of changing them as you would like to. But the thing that we now need to do is mimic and mirror exactly what we've done on this side over on this other side here. So swiveling this around, we have the length that we had of our initial panel here going up in rows, and all we now need to do is extend this from this top where your neckline is going to be, which is another great thing about actually putting this in place as it is at the moment. We're going to extend upwards this way as a chain, and then we're going to work in these long rows again for the side and then the sleeve for this second side if you choose to add it. So if you remember, for this size, I added 157 chains when we extended here for this side that we did first of all. But yours, as it will tell in the pattern, will be different depending on what length you have chosen to make it. So for the size I'm making here, we're going to extend by 157 chains. So I'm going to flip around so that we have this side facing me, and I'm going to join to this last stitch there that we have, and then I'm going to join my yarn and I'm going to chain 157. So now I have that chain of 157, and just like we did on the first side, we're going to start working back along there, working our lace wedge stitch, or the first forward pass of it. And to do that, we work into that second chain from the hook. We're going to do a single crochet in there, and then we're going to chain 6 and begin that lace stitch that we already know from the other side. So 6 chains, and then just a reminder, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, and then our lovely long, can't do it, there we go, double treble, I've not warmed up yet this morning, in that last stitch of that chain 6 that we had. Then you're going to skip 5, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, and then we single crochet in the next, and we carry on making those lace wedge stitches all the way along our long chain, just as we did before. And then when you get to here again, just as we did on the other side, you're going to work them, and this long stitch that you have here will be the one that you skip, and then you're going to single crochet into the side of the stitch here where the wedge stitches join. So each of these wedge stitches, the sides of them, will get a new wedge stitch that's going to line up along them, just as we did here on this side. So you're going to work all the way down to the end of your piece, and then we will return on the other side and we will close up those wedge stitches just as we have been doing in the entire pattern. So here I am, I've completed going all the way down that centre back panel, adding these triangles here for our forward lace wedge stitch. And now all I need to do is to close them in and create the whole part of the lace wedge stitch all the way along now. So along that back there, and then along this long front bit that we have too. So just as we did before, we are going to chain 5. And then we're going to put the single crochet in the single crochet of that lace wedge stitch that we have there. If I can get hold of it. Honestly, my fingers are not working today. And then working back down these stitches that we have here, we're going to single crochet in the chain that has the single crochet in, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next to match our double crochet that we have there, chain 1, skip 1, and then our double treble in the last chain that has the double treble in it as well. So just pull aside and make sure that you've matched up your stitches. Then you are good to go, and you're going to single crochet in the single crochet of the next lace wedge stitch, and so on and so forth. We carry on down that one, then join to the next one, etc, 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 all the way along to the end. And then when we get to the end, we do the same thing that we did before of working our double treble 2 together at the end. So in that last chain that we have had there, and then in the single crochet that begins the row. That's what we do there. And then those 2 rows we are then going to keep repeating. We'll do them in the written pattern. They are rows 3 and 4, which become then the lace wedge stitch. As we've worked all the way through this already, you're going to repeat those for the set amount that you need for the size that you're making. And if you're making the sleeveless version, then you stop when you finish that section, and then we'll be ready to seam the sides together and create your armhole depths. But if you're making the sleeve, then you repeat the process that we did for the other side and add your sleeve on in the center part of your cardigan. So whichever version you're doing, get to where you need to be next, and then join me back and I will show you what we do next. Right, so once you've got your sides and your sleeves all done and blocked, I haven't blocked this one yet, shh, don't tell anyone. But I'm not going to seam the whole thing, I'm just going to show you how to get started. We can pop stitch markers in along, so this is the bottom, and here's the front opening here, and then we're going to stitch marker up to where the underarm of the sleeves join, and then you're going to stitch marker together underneath the bottom of the sleeve. And all we have to do, the only two seams in the whole thing, is up from the bottom here, up along here, under the arm and to the ends of the sleeve, and then you repeat the process on the other side. Now I do this with the wrong side facing me, and for this one you can sew it, but for this one I'm going to do just a gentle slip stitch seam, but it is entirely up to you how you would like to join yours. So because we're working side across on this garment, we have stitches to match up with each other. So we have all of these lovely V's and all of these lovely V's, and every one of those will get a stitch to join them together. Now because this is nice and lacy, I'm actually going to, I think, use just one loop of each of them. So I'll use the front loop of this one that's facing me and then the back loop of that one that's facing there, and that will give you a nice little detail down the side of the seam. But if you don't want that, then don't worry, you can join exactly as you would like to. So then in the next one, and the trick with a slip stitch seam is just to not pull tight, give it plenty of space. And I even have sometimes gone up a hook size just to make sure that I don't get tempted by pulling it tight. So that's all we need to do. Carry on all the way up here underneath the arm, and then when you get to there you're just going to change direction and follow the stitches along the side then, and that will give you a lovely neat seam up the side and underneath your arm. So go for it and do that on both of your sides. And if you wanted to do side splits here at the bottom, because we're not putting a rib or an edge on this, so if you wanted to do side splits, you just start where whichever point you would like the side split to be. So if you wanted it to be that long, then you'll start here and seam upwards from here. So it's really simple to do that if you would like to add little splits at the bottom of it. But once you've done that and you're all seamed, then come back to me and we'll do the final thing and put the collar on together. We're ready now to add the final piece of the puzzle, which is this lovely ribbed collar, and it just uses half double crochet stitches, and really simply it just works up the side, across the back of the neck and back down the other side, and we go back and forth in rows, which then closes into your neckline, and it means that you can add or take away as many of these rows. I've obviously given guidance within the written pattern, but you can do as many as you like to make this collar as deep as you want it to be. So all we're going to be doing once everything is joined up is joining to the bottom front here we have. So you have an opening, like a U-shape opening around the neckline. So we're going to join to this first stitch, chain as it is on this side of the stitch, and we're going to chain one, and then you're going to work a half double crochet in each of the chains or the stitches that you come across around this neck opening. So these chains are nice and easy, and then you will come to a chain in just a second that has got a single crochet worked into it, so it's pulled slightly. So just make sure that you go in and under to get both bits of that chain there, otherwise it ends up being quite gappy. So you work all the way around the neckline in what becomes a U shape, and then when you get to the other side, the other front side, and have completed that first row, we then just turn, and I will show you what we do. Just imagine, use your imagination and pretend that this now is the end of the other side and we're ready to turn and work our next row. We now have the half double crochet with our 3 loops in it, and the loop that we're going to go for is this very back loop here. So at the end of the row you chain one, and then you turn on its end so that you can see that back loop, and then we go into that back loop and work a half double crochet, and that's what will give us our lovely ribbed texture. And as I say, you can make this collar as big or as small as you would like, And the other great thing is that because, I mean, the garment isn't designed like this to have buttons, but you could add buttons most definitely. And because you're working in rows here, just wherever it is that you decide you would like a button, you can chain 1, 2, or however big your button is, and then skip that corresponding amount of stitches, and then off you go again with your half double crochets, and that will create a buttonhole for you. So it's really adaptable and really easy to make it exactly how you would like it. Now we have come to the part where we can make and add an optional belt if you would like to. Now this is just half double crochets worked in the back loop only, back and forth in rows, and you'll see in the written pattern I've given numbers for recommended lengths, but you can make this as long or as short as you like. I've gone fairly short with mine just to make sure that they tie just and loop over, but yours can be any length and also any width that you like as well. You can work as many repeats of the row as you like. So the way that we create this, I recommend at the beginning that we start with a foundation half double crochet, and that means you can keep extending the length and see exactly how it will sit on you. So we're going to begin with a slip knot on the hook, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to yarn over, and then working into that second chain from the hook, we're going into the back bump there, we're going to yarn over and pull through. And then normally on a half double crochet you'd yarn over and pull through everything, but we need to create another loop here ready for our foundation chain. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 1, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's 1 stitch made there. And then to make our next one, we're going to need to go into this chain that we made there before we completed that half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to put into that chain there, and make sure you go through both parts of it there, so you've got both sections of that chain over your hook, yarn over and pull through, and then we repeat that process of yarn over and pull through 1, then yarn over and pull through all 3. And then we just carry on repeating that until your first row is the length that you would like it to be. So go ahead and make your belt the length that you want it to be, and then come back to me and I'll show you row 2 and the subsequent rows. Okay, so your belt will be obviously significantly longer than mine, but I'm just going to use this little section here to show you how we turn and work our second and subsequent rows. So we have turned, and I'm going to chain 1, and then we're going to work a half double crochet in the back loop only. And now when we're working in rows, the third loop, the extra loop, is here facing up at us, and then if you turn the stitch on its side you have a front loop and a back loop. So we're going to go into that back loop there and work a half double crochet, and you're just going to do that for every stitch along the row, and then when you get to the end you're going to turn, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to repeat that row. So now you can work as many rows of half double crochet in the back loop only that you would like to. I, for this one, have done 6 rows, but you can do more, you can do less, you can do however much you like. So go ahead and make your belt, and then come back to me and we'll add some little belt bands on the side just to secure it in place. Once you've got your belt to the size that you would like it to be, we now have the option of adding some belt bands along the side of the cardigan. We'll just do one either side, and this helps anchor the belt in place, so if you don't want it tied it can just sit loosely around you. But if you don't want to add these, you don't have to. Of course, you can just tie it around as you would if you were just adding a belt to something that doesn't have these bands. But the way that we're going to do it, you can put them at any point that you would like. I've got my underarm here, this is where my sleeve is, and this is the side seam running it down, and this is obviously the front collar, and I've got the right side facing me because we want it on the outside here. And so just where your side seam runs, choose where you would like yours, put it on, measure it up against yourself, figure out where you want your belt to sit on you. And I haven't measured mine properly yet, but I'm just going to show you how to do one, and then I will measure mine. And in fact, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a different colour yarn so you can see better. So I'm just going to join here at the bottom of that wedge stitch there, and I've done 6 rows for my belt here, but they're of course they're half double crochet rows, so they're just slightly taller than the single stitches that we have, or these chains that we have. So I'm probably going to need to work up until the midway point of the next wedge here, but it's entirely up to you. You can measure up depending on how many rows you have done for your belt band. And all we're going to do is work a simple chain for as many as you feel it needs to accommodate your belt. How many have I done already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 9 will be just good for me. And then that will take us probably up to the half point of the next wedge stitch here. And then I'm going to slip stitch in that to join and pull my yarn through here, and then that will just, in the same colour obviously as the cardigan that you're actually making, will give you a lovely little loop there that you'll be able to thread your belt through. Now you're going to break your yarn here, pull that through, and then you will go through to the wrong side and weave those ends in, and that will then allow for your belt just to slot through just nice and neatly, and it will hold it in place there. Now what you need to do is repeat that on the other side seam, and make sure that it's nice and level. So make sure you try it on for where you want it to be. Make sure that you make enough chains to accommodate the size of belt that you've chosen to make. Thank you so much for joining me to make this lovely summer lace crochet cardigan. I really hope you enjoy making yours, and I can't wait to see. So come and find me. I'm Hand Done Crochet in all the places that you'd expect me to be on social media, and I will look forward to seeing what you create and also seeing you again here soon.